Alarms blared through the quantum nexus core as Zara Kael sprinted down the corridor, her boots thumping against the humming metal floor. Charlotte's voice crackled in her earpiece, strained and urgent. "Zara, you've triggered the anomaly protocol. Where are you?" "I'm at the atrium." "Give me visual," Zara panted. A palm-sized hollow popped up in front of her, flickering blue and gold. Data streamed down. Coordinates, quantum signature mismatches, time fractures. For weeks, Zara had followed a whisper of code embedded in the quantum streams. Something that shouldn't be there. Something that twisted the rules of reality and then vanished like smoke. "Someone's in the system," Zara said, her brow furrowed. "And they're not just hitching a ride. They're rewriting the exit points." Charlotte's reply was sharp. "Impossible. Quantum tunnels are locked to origin coordinates. There's no way." "Unless you're willing to risk everything." Zara cut her off. She reached the atrium, a vast dome of swirling energy. The anomaly signal pulsed overhead, colors dancing madly. Zara yanked open a console, her fingers flying over the keys. She bypassed the standard security, eyes scanning lines of quantum code. Something ancient flickered underneath the data, a signal, almost a voice, echoing from somewhere beyond her universe. She pressed deeper. Suddenly the room shifted. The walls rippled, bending like glass in water. Shadows flickered in the corners, and for a moment Zara saw a version of herself. Scared, hunched, older, watching her with pleading eyes. The signal spiked. "Zara, your vitals just jumped. What's happening in there?" Charlotte's voice was faint, muffled as if underwater. Zara forced her attention back to the console. "Someone's sending a message across realities. I think they want me to follow." Outside, the universe seemed to stutter. The quantum stream overhead surged, and time buckled briefly, like a skipped heartbeat. Zara's doubts warred with her curiosity, but the danger was clear. If someone could manipulate quantum reality, every law of physics and time itself could collapse. She braced herself. "I'm going in after them. Lock me to the anchor code. If I don't make it back—" "Don't talk like that. You will make it back. You're not alone out there," Charlotte insisted. Zara took a shaky breath and stepped into the confluence, the energy wrapping around her, rewriting her with every step. She felt the universe flip, fracturing into 1,000 new paths, each one trying to claim her. She clung to the memory of who she was, a scientist, an underdog, the last line of defense before anyone could undo reality itself. And with that, Zara fell headfirst into the unknown, determined to crack the code before time ran out. A jolt shot through Zara's body as she landed in the in-between, the quantum verge. It was neither here nor there, a space outside time itself, where reality hung on threads of light and possibility. Her mind reeled from the jump, memories and possibilities mingling until she ground her teeth and forced herself to focus. Across the verge, the anomaly signal blazed like a bonfire, threads of reality quivering with every beat of her heart. She staggered forward, feeling the ground shift beneath her feet. "You shouldn't be here." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Zara spun around and found herself face to face with a stranger, a man with a scar over one eye, his face shadowed, wearing a robe woven from quantum light. He regarded her warily. "Who are you?" Zara demanded, keeping her voice steady even as her nerves frayed. "Call me Kellen. You followed the signal. That was reckless. You're the one rewriting reality. Why?" Kellen shook his head. "You don't understand what's at stake. Our universe is flawed, fractured since its birth. Fixing it means sacrifice, sometimes rewriting." Zara's hands clenched. "You can't just erase history because it didn't turn out the way you want. Billions of lives." Kellen interrupted, his tone heavy. "Billions more if we do nothing." The walls of the verge pulsed, visions flickering in and out. A universe torn by war, another where humanity was extinct, a paradise bought with terrible bargains. Kellen's quantum robe shimmered with glimpses of impossible futures. "You really think you're the only one who's lost something?" Zara snapped. "Who gave you the right?" Kellen studied her for a long, silent moment. "No one gave me the right, just the power. And I'm not alone." As if on cue, other robed figures materialized, their faces hidden by cascading numbers and shifting shapes. They merged with the shadows, whispering realities into being and snuffing others out. Zara's heart hammered, but she refused to back down. From her earpiece, Charlotte's voice pierced the static. "Zara, I'm in partial sync. I can't see you, but I'm tracking the quantum signal. Whatever you're facing, you don't have to do it alone. Zara's resolve hardened. Kellen, I came here to stop you, but I want to understand. Help me see what you see. Show me why you're risking everything. He hesitated, surprise almost softening his harsh gaze. You want answers? Then follow me. Just know, the truth will cost you more than you expect. With a gesture, the verge opened up, swirling into a tunnel of infinite choices. Kellen stepped in, and after a single haunting look back at all she'd known, Zara followed him into the shifting stream, deeper into the secret war for reality's very soul. The tunnel was a living thing. Quantum threads twisted around Zara as she followed Kellen, each strand pulsing with memories half-lived and futures not yet born. Flickers of her childhood brushed her fingers, her father's laugh, her mother's warnings about crossing boundaries. Then, just as quickly they vanished, replaced by scenes she'd never witnessed, older versions of herself, some triumphant, others broken. You're seeing the infinite refractions, Kellen said, glancing back at her. Every possibility, every fate. This is what we step through each time we alter the stream. Does it ever stop feeling overwhelming? She asked, struggling to steady her thoughts. He shook his head. Adapt or be swept away. They emerged together onto an impossible plane. Above them towered the archive of timelines, a crystalline monolith that hovered in gloom, humming with the weight of rewritten history. All around, the landscape twisted between city, forest, ruins, and ocean, a million injured memories bleeding into one another where realities overlapped. Zara's breath hitched at the sheer magnitude. Other robed figures worked along the base, hands stretched into the archive's light, pulling fragments of events, wars never fought, inventions that saved or destroyed, threading them into or out of existence. Zara turned to Kellen. Show me what you're fighting. Why risk collapsing everything? He lifted a small orb from his robe, the source kernel. Inside, a storm of timelines raged. Kellen projected it between them, sudden images unfolded. Earth doomed by climate collapse, invaded by machines, torn by cosmic radiation. In each timeline, a catastrophic end stalked humanity's every decision. We thought quantum tunneling was our salvation, Kellen said softly. But it's a crack we made wider, fracturing the root of reality. Now anomalies multiply. If left unchecked, the collapse is inevitable. Zara's eyes widened as she watched a timeline flicker, her own face shouting as the nexus imploded. So you're stitching things together, rewriting past mistakes? Kellen met her gaze, haunted. Only small corrections at first, but every fix creates side effects, a new splinter, a new threat. Now we're trying to patch a flood with scraps. A scream rang out from a shadow, drawing their attention. One of the robed figures staggered away from the archive, skin shimmering, face flickering between dozens of lives. He crumpled, convulsing, as a fissure opened at his feet. A raw tear spilling time itself. The others tried desperate repairs, but the wounds spread, devouring the nearby landscape. Charlotte's voice was in Zara's ear again, tinny and frantic. Zara! There's a surge in the anomaly, right where you are. Pull back! But Zara's jaw set. No, now I see the stakes. Kellen, show me how to fix this. For everyone, not just for your order. Let me help you. He studied her, then passed her the kernel. It thrummed in her hand, filling her mind with the ache of 1,000 broken futures. If you truly want to change things, he said, you'll have to risk everything, even your own reality. A tremor of fear ran through Zara, but her resolve burned brighter. She looked into the horizon where cracks of quantum fire tore at the world and made her choice. The source kernel felt heavier than its size in Zara's palm. As she cradled it, quantum streams flickered in her vision, worlds blooming and wilting within heartbeats. Something inside her shifted, like she was made of puzzle pieces scrambling for a fit. It's searching you, Kellen warned. Your intentions, your regrets, the kernel's power bends to whoever holds it. Zara steadied herself. Then we'll fix what you started. But on my terms. No more erasing lives to fix side effects, Kellen. We patch the root, not the fallout. The ground beneath the archive rumbled, a web of cracks stretching outward, spreading chaos as rival timelines bled into each other. Phantom cities loomed where forests once stood. People flickered in and out, entire histories snuffed in an instant. We can't do this alone, Kellen said, urgency sharpening his voice. Some of the Order won't listen. They think bigger sacrifices are needed. Zara squeezed the kernel, feeling its energy race through her. Then we show the others there's another way. Let me talk to them. Trust me." He hesitated, then nodded. Together they strode toward the council, the opposition waiting within the archive's crystalline heart. The entrance shimmered, forcing a memory of Zara's most painful choice, the day she walked away from her family to follow science. It stabbed at her, raw and cold. Inside, the council members floated above shifting holograms, their bodies wreathed in probability. Some faces were serene, others wary, and one their leader, Lise, regarded Zara with open hostility. "You bring an outsider into the archive, Kellen? Why would we trust her?" Zara answered before Kellen could. "Because I know what it means to lose everything for a cause. But if you keep fighting the symptoms, you'll just destroy all you're trying to save." Lisa's eyes narrowed. "And what do you suggest, physicist?" "Let us stabilize the root, patch the rupture, not the reflections," Zara said. "No more rewriting history, just a single act of restoration. The kernel can focus reality's flow, not hack it, but we'll need everyone's help." A hush fell. Some council members exchanged hopeful glances, but others shook their heads. Charlotte's voice piped into Zara's ear, surreptitious but steady. "I'm tracking a quantum cascade, Zara. This could work, if you unify the streams. But if the council splits," Zara held her head high, "I'm betting on humanity's stubborn hope." Lise laughed. "Hope doesn't stand against entropy. But try. Convince us, and maybe you save more than just these fragile timelines." As timelines bled into the chamber, and lights flickered with the pressure of a collapsing multiverse, Zara understood the stakes. This was not only a battle for reality, but a test of humanity's right to shape its own fate. She looked at the shimmering kernel in her hand and prepared to rally the council for the greatest act of restoration history, or any timeline, had ever seen. Zara stood at the center of the crystal-lit chamber, the council members' faces like flickering masks in the shifting air. The source kernel glowed with every heartbeat, weighing her down with possibilities. The world outside the archive trembled. Rifts in the horizon spat fragments of ruined timelines, filling the open hall with an uneasy light. She drew in a breath, feeling the ache of doubt and the flicker of stubborn hope. "You want me to persuade you? Fine. All your corrections, your so-called fixes, they only deepen the cracks. Patch enough holes and the wall collapses. But if we reinforce the true foundation, we can save every timeline, the good and the bad." A deep voice challenged her from the shadows. "If it fails, there will be nothing left to save." "We already stand on the edge of nothing," Zara shot back. "What's left to lose, except the right to choose our own future?" Lee's eyes studied her, the council gripped by tense silence. Suddenly a younger counselor, Rin, stepped forward. "Let her try," he said, surprising even himself. "We've lost too much already. Maybe we need an outsider's view." The room buzzed with whispers. Kellen nodded supportively. "She needs access to the root stream. It's never been done, but neither has what's happening outside." Lise finally relented. "One chance, Zara Kael. No do-overs. If you fail, reality collapses, and there's no one left to mourn it." A transport pad appeared, shimmering with possibility. Zara stepped onto it, heart hammering. Kellen joined her, Rin at their side. The pad dissolved beneath their feet in a wash of white light. Instantly, Zara felt herself stretched and woven, every molecule straining between past and future. They materialized at the root stream, a well of infinite quantum energy, wild and thrumming with barely contained chaos. Patterns and echoes of creation rippled through the void. Charlotte's voice filtered through faintly, static-laced but determined. "I'm reading feedback loops everywhere, Zara. You can do this. Anchor to who you are, not what you fear." "Here goes everything," Zara whispered, and with trembling hands, she pressed the kernel into the stream. Reality reeled. For one impossible second, she saw every fate, every lost hope, every enduring choice, spun together in the wild tapestry of existence. The room around her fractured, voices of past and future selves crying out. Zara's mind threatened to split under the weight. She screamed, a wordless defiance, forcing herself to hold on, focusing not on fear, but on possibility. The stream fought her, wild and ancient. Kellen and Rin flanked her, lending strength. "Not alone," Kellen shouted, gripping her arm. Zara poured her will into the kernel, shaping the root with stubborn, human hope. For the first time, the chaos slowed, shaped by her intention. A fragile web holding the flood at bay, if only for a heartbeat longer. It wasn't victory yet, but it was enough. The first shivering sign that the underdog could remake the rules. And in the depths of the stream, someone stirred watching. The real enemy wasn't chaos, but the one who had first breached the fabric of reality, and whose designs were only beginning to unfold. The moment Zara's intention took hold, a hush fell over the root stream. The flux's blinding rush stilled enough for her to breathe, her mind battered, but her spirit unbroken. For a heartbeat, fragile order shimmered in the kaleidoscope of possibility, and then a pulse of dark energy rippled through the void. The shimmering patterns twisted, recoiling in threat. Across the stream, a shape materialized from shadows, a tall figure wrapped in robes darker than space, a mask obscuring their face, but eyes burning with cold intellect. Kellen's grip tensed on Zara's shoulder. "It's him," he whispered, "the prime instigator." Rin's voice shook. "The scientist who started it all, the one who first tore open the tunnels." The masked figure's voice was as calm as a computer, but every syllable cut deep. "Impressive, Zara Kael. Most shatter when confronted with the stream's truth. Why not let reality collapse? You could save yourself the pain." Zara straightened, refusing to show fear. "That's not what we do. Humans build from brokenness. We don't surrender to it." The prime instigator tilted their head, studying her as if she were an interesting experiment. "Every universe I've touched has failed, decaying beneath the weight of its own mistakes. Don't you see? There is no saving reality, only starting over." Rin hissed, "You're the reason timelines are bleeding one into another. People are vanishing, whole worlds lost." The masked figure folded their arms. "Old worlds, new worlds, it's a cycle, but you give them hope, Zara Kael. Dangerous, blinding hope. Would you risk everything for it?" Zara clenched her fists. "I already am. But I won't do it by becoming a destroyer like you." The stream buckled, images of disaster and creation playing out above their heads, cities erased, civilizations reborn, a future zigzagging between brilliance and extinction. The prime instigator extended a hand, as if offering peace. "Help me. Together we could birth a universe without flaw, a reality worthy of your potential." Kellen stepped between them. "Don't listen. He promises perfection, but erases everyone unwilling to conform." Charlotte's fragmented voice snagged Zara's heart. "Hold fast to who you are, Zara. That's our anchor." Zara stared at the instigator. "You've had your chance. I'll fight for all realities, the flawed, the hopeful, the messy, because that's what makes us human." Rage flickered behind the mask. The instigator unleashed a torrent of quantum energy, the stream torn open by their will. Kellen and Rin shielded Zara as darkness spilled toward them, threatening to unmake her very existence. But as the onslaught raged, Zara dug deeper, not into the power of the source kernel, but into her stubborn, enduring spirit. She called to the council, forming a fragile chain of connection. The human underdog, facing down the prime instigator, with nothing but hope and resolve. It wouldn't be enough on its own. But for the first time, the council began to answer her call, their voices threading into the stream beside hers, turning fragile hope into an ember on the verge of wildfire. The darkness twisted, swallowing light, as the prime instigator hurled raw quantum force against Zara and the council's fragile chain. The air thickened with the scent of ozone and fear, reality itself stuttering around them, pieces threatening to fly apart with every second. Yet Zara held the kernel of hope stubbornly at her center, refusing to be swept into oblivion. Kellen grimaced through the onslaught. "He's splitting the stream. If he disrupts the root, all timelines will unravel." Rin shouted, "Council, join us! Now or never." One by one, the counselors appeared in flickering holographic projections, forming a ring around the source kernel. Lyse's voice, steady now and fierce, rang out in defiance. "Prime instigator, our mistakes will not be erased by more violence. We claim our flawed creation." The masked adversary snarled, reality rippling with the force of their will. "You chain yourselves to error. I would set you free." Zara focused inward, feeling the aching roots of her own life, every regret, every choice, every tiny triumph. Through her, the source kernel pulsed with raw possibility, magnifying more than just her voice. "Humanity isn't perfect," she yelled into the tempest, stepping forward. "It's exactly because we falter, because we hope even when reason says stop, that we change worlds." Charlotte's voice, distant but clear, crackled through Zara's earpiece. "I see you, Zara. Keep going. The archive's stabilizing. People are remembering." The council joined hands, some flesh, some flickering quantum ghosts, and the ring blazed with energy. The stream bent, not breaking, but reshaping under their collective will. The prime instigator's power faltered, his attack struggling against the crescendo of faith and unity around Zara. Kellen, eyes full of awe, squeezed Zara's hand. "You're turning belief into reality, giving the Colonel something to anchor to." The ring of humans and allies glowed, radiating outward. Timelines distant and near shimmered in response. Zara's doubts didn't vanish, but she pressed them close, letting them fuel her intent. She spoke softly, more to herself than the enemy now. "We stitch a future from imperfection. That's our only real power." The stream quaked. The dark figure hesitated for the first time, the fury behind the mask flickering into something like doubt. But the battle was far from over. The instigator's grip remained on the stream, and the next attack was already gathering. Zara knew the final phase loomed, one that would test not just her resolve, but the very boundaries of human possibility. She steadied herself, feeling the united strength at her back, and prepared for the greatest trial the Quantum Confluence could conjure. All across the root stream, the lines of possibility blazed like veins of lightning. The instigator let loose a torrent of pure destruction, unraveling timelines in wild arcs, determined to tear the Council's unity apart. Across the shifting plane, the voices of the lost and nearly forgotten echoed, a tapestry of struggle, hope, and pain woven into the quantum core. Zara reeled as the world flickered around her, past and future selves merging at the corner of her vision. For a split second, she glimpsed her mother, smiling, proud, then a ruined city, then flashes of lives she'd never lived but might have. Rin grunted, fighting to keep the connection alive. "He's pulling realities out from beneath us." Kellen braced his stance. "Stand together. Anchor in who we are, not who we might have been. Zara, you started this chain. Only you can finish it." She staggered beneath the pressure, hands white-knuckled on the source kernel. The prime instigator's voice came, low and needling, directly into her mind. "Why struggle? Humanity always loses in the end. There's nothing here worth saving." Zara gritted her teeth. "Maybe we lose, but we keep trying. That's why I know you're wrong." The stream shrieked, a quantum storm raging. The faces of the council flickered, some barely holding form. Lisa's voice cracked, but she shouted encouragement. "Zara, center yourself in your truest moment. You've seen the cost of every choice. Make one, for all of us." Memories rushed through Zara. The first day she touched the quantum tunnel, her father's quiet pride, Charlotte's reassuring words in the dark. She gathered those fragments tightly and fixed her gaze on the swirling kernel. "I choose hope. I choose us, all our messy, miraculous lives." With a surge of conviction, Zara poured her intention into the stream, her vision filling with blinding golden light. Around her, the ring of counselors and allies suddenly expanded, as echoes of everyday people, her mother, a young scientist, aged dreamers and laughing children, formed a new chain of unity behind her. The onslaught slowed. The quantum storm began to shift, whorls of reality swirling in Zara's chosen pattern rather than the instigator's chaos. For the first time, the masked figure wavered, pushing back harder but clearly shaken. "You will lose yourself. All you've known will be swept away," the instigator howled, one hand outstretched as if to drag Zara into oblivion. But she clung to her anchor, feeling the deep, thundering pulse of human connection thrumming not just in herself, but across every fragment of reality. The darkness receded, and for the briefest moment, the prime instigator's mask seemed to crack, revealing agony and desperate longing beneath. Zara knew this wasn't the end. The instigator would not surrender so easily. But victory flickered, just out of reach. She steadied herself, ready to chart one last course through the storm, whatever the cost. The fields of the root stream were now a maelstrom of tangled fate and flickering possibility. The prime instigator's power struck again and again, but Zara, core blazing with conviction, channeled the hopes of billions, of every version of humanity that ever existed, or could have existed. The source kernel ignited in her grasp, threads of light expanding in every direction, hemming the storms, binding chaos to the will of the council and the people echoing through the stream. But each pulse from the instigator left cracks in reality, fractures jagged with regret, fear, and rage. Kellen, sweat beading on his face, called out, "Zara, he's trying to shatter your memories." If he severs you from yourself, our anchor fails. Zara felt searing pain as moments of her life slipped away. Her first discovery, her father's smile, the laughter she'd shared with Charlotte on sleepless nights in the lab. Panic clawed at her, but the chain of humanity still held. Charlotte's voice cut through the din once more, strong and clear. You are more than your past, Zara. Every sacrifice, every act of kindness you chose, that's what binds you to us. Trust that we're with you. Rin pressed against the spectral gale, his own face flickering with alternate scars. He can't erase the future if you write it in hope. Keep going. The instigator howled, the mask finally starting to fracture, burning eyes wild with loss. You would build on imperfection? You would let failure define you? I tried to make perfection. Zara met the figure's outstretched hand, not to fight but to connect. Perfection isn't living. We grow because we try, fail, and try again. You didn't fail by caring, you failed by giving up. Join us. Help heal the damage you started. Choose to let go of control. For a trembling instant, the instigator faltered, torn between fury and anguish. Quantum energy stuttered in the stream. Counselors braced themselves, Lai stepping forward, her voice now resonant and magnetic. Even the first wound can mend if the healer chooses hope. Let us repair the root together. But the instigator's mask pulled taut, fear and pride twisting together. I don't remember how to hope, Zara Kael. I only remember loss. Zara's heart clenched, but she held out her hand as reality shook. Then let us remember for you. Connect with us now, be part of humanity, not apart from it. All around, the quantum fields quivered. Golden light began knitting fractured timelines together. People lost to anomalies flashed in and out before steadying. History rewriting itself not by erasure, but through acceptance and unity. But the energy flickered, the work unfinished. The instigator teetered, on the verge of release or catastrophe. The fate of all realities hung in limbo on one final act of trust. His and Zara's. The storm at the core of the root stream reached its crescendo. Every timeline trembling on the edge of collapse or rebirth. Golden webs of possibility held together only by hope and memory wound tighter, but could unravel at any second. Zara's hand remained outstretched, the source kernel flaring between her fingers, a beacon, a promise. The prime instigator hovered above the chasm, surrounded by shattered pieces of his own heart. He hesitated, mask crumbling, eyes alive with desperate longing. I don't know how. I don't know if I can. Zara's voice was low but filled with conviction. You don't have to be perfect to be forgiven. The past can't be undone, but the future is ours to choose, together. For the first time, the instigator's mask fell away. A man's face, tired, ancient, streaked with tears, looked back at her. His voice was small, almost childlike. I was afraid. I thought if I controlled everything, I could spare the world my pain. Kellen stepped up, clasping Zara's shoulder. Rin and Lise joined as well, council forming a unity of purpose. None of us stands alone, Kellen said. Let us bear your pain with you. Let's end the spiral. The instigator reached for Zara's hand. The instant contact was made, the power swirling between them surged, memories, pain, and hope transmitting through the chain. For a moment, every soul across the quantum expanse felt themselves anchored to each other, their stories shielded by understanding, not shame. The root stream blazed white gold, brilliance streaming out in all directions. Broken realities reknit, lost people returned, and the cascade of anomalies slowed then stilled. The archive reformed, not as a shadow patchwork but as a living record, a testament to struggle, forgiveness, and renewal. Charlotte's voice, full of joyful disbelief, rang through the expanse. You did it, Zara. You brought him back. You brought everyone back. At the epicenter, Zara smiled faintly, exhaustion and peace contending in her bones. We did it together, Charlotte, imperfection and all. The council gathered around the instigator, now simply a grieving ordinary man. He wept, but his tears seeded new possibility, a beginning, not an end. Lise reached out and took his other hand. There is room for all of us in the future we make. As the energies settled, the source kernel split into myriad shards, each one finding its place in the hands of people across countless realities. No longer a tool of control, it became a seed of choice, reminding all that the fate of the universe is made in countless moments of courage and compassion. Kellen grinned at Zara, the faintest trace of awe in his eyes. What will you do now, after saving infinity? Zara gazed across the horizon, where healed timelines rippled. I think I'll go home and hug my mother, then help anyone else who needs it. It's what humanity does. And as the restored multiverse hummed with new promise, Zara Kael took her first steps into a future she had helped forge. Not as a perfect hero, but as one voice in an endless chorus, reminding the universe that hope endures, and even flawed beings can make miracles together.